Hello, DXS. I'm just saying DXS because there's a load of letters and then there's DXS at the end. Welcome to the
That's
Inspirational
good. That's well
podcast.
done. Shall we get this show on the road?
Yes, Lee, you get the show on the road.
Let's go. Inspiration. Hello. Lee Kemp here for another week on the podcast. Sadly, without Ryan Boniface, and even sadder with Jose Noya. Jose, how are you doing?
Thank you, Lee, for that lovely
That's
introduction.
what I'm
I'm
here for.
great. How are you?
I always like to make sure that you feel loved.
Thank you, Lee. You
I'm
do a
good.
very good.
I'm good as well. So I
Fabulous.
think it is my turn this week for a quote and a conversation. So what I've got for you. This is a bit well, in fact, there's like double nerdism going on with this, but it starts with a nerdy quote. This is from Michael Fassbender, the actor, talking about the X-Men films, which is where the nerdiness comes in. And the quote is, X-Men is not really about mutants, it's about humanity. I think it's about the human race. We're an absolutely destructive race. It seems that we can't seem to get beyond this level of tribalism that has been around for thousands of years. Anything we fear, we tend to destroy. So a cheery quote to start the day with.
Yep.
Tribalism is
Okay.
the key word within that. That's what I want to talk about, is tribalism.
Okay.
And actually this, I wanted to look for a quote that fit with it, and that one jumped out to me because I enjoy a bit of... Just checking, none of our analytics are working. This is terrible. I was checking we're actually still live, but we are, so let's keep going. Recently just finished watching, I don't know if you've seen it, Jose, but on BBC, so it's game show is the right word for it, game show / reality show called The Traitors.
No, I know you've been watching it, but people keep telling me to watch it. My sister keeps telling me to watching it. Now you all keep telling me to watching it right now, I suspect, but no, I haven't watched it yet. I have heard of it, yes.
It's superb. We binged it in about 3 weeks.
Is that the British version? Because it's Australia.
Oh yeah,
also,
just the British. I'm not going international on it. Just sticking with the British one.
Okay.
I'm sure they're all good as well, but yeah, I'll spend the rest of the year watching it otherwise, I think. But the premise of the show is that there's a group of people, starts off with 22 people, and they're there. They all do challenges together, and these challenges build up a prize pot of money. But the twist is that 3 people within the group get chosen to be the traitors. Now, no one else knows who these are. And the way it works is every night, effectively, the traitors decide they can bump one person out of the game. And they do their challenges during the day. They then have this round table where between the whole group, they've got to try and decide who they think the traitors are. They vote for it and they banish someone out of the game, which hopefully is one of the traitors, but more often than not, it's not. And then the traitors each night get to bump someone off. So there's lots of tactics and stuff going on how you do it. And basically it whittles down to a small group. And right at the end, they kind of have to decide, right, we think we've got rid of the traitors. We're the only people that's left. And if that's correct, they split the prize pot. If it's wrong, then the traitor or traitors that are left get to split the prize pot.
Wow.
And the bit, it's a really engaging show to watch, and it's really good. And people, they're in it right there. So they get very emotionally involved very, very quickly in what they're doing. But the thing about it that really stuck out to me and I thought was a talking point is these were all just 22 strangers. They all come to meet each other. They're in very close quarters for a couple of weeks. And they all go in a room and say, look, would you be, they call the faithfuls, the one that aren't traitors, a faithful, would you be a traitor? And they all give their reasons why they think they'd make good for one or the other. And then the show picks the 3 people they want to be the traitors. So the fact is, around that table, there will be a number of people who put a hand up and said, yeah, I think I'd be really good being a traitor. Sorry, I got distracted by my phone. That's terribly unprofessional.
Did you see that?
But once it's decided, they talk about the traitors as if they're a different species. They're just going to be laughing at us. Oh, it's awful. They're just going to be loving this when something's gone wrong. They, really strong negative words because these people are labelled differently. They're labelled as a traitor, and it becomes quite fierce in this need to find. And even though it's your own thing, is people around the table will be them, but it's perfectly okay to presume these people are horrible and really underhanded and laughing at anything that goes wrong and everything else because they're different. They're the others. They're the other side of it. And I've always had this fascination with our kind of ability to tribalize ourselves, and it's just really fast. Don't get me wrong. At the end of the game, when everyone leaves, they're always like, "I've had a great time, made loads of good friends." There's no hard feelings, but while they're in the environment, this clear line that you either are or aren't, and it's fine to be almost dismissive of the people that aren't. It's just perfectly acceptable, and I don't think that's unique to the show. I think that's what we do as people.
Yeah. So what's the learning, Lee? What are you taking away from this then?
I don't know. It's more, well, as an example again, because it's more of an observation, I suppose, than anything else, and I suppose it's a warning against, in a way. But one time, you may or may not remember this, but one time when we were working together, Jose, I was in an office, and this office, there was an office, and then one that was off the back of it. I'm not explaining it very well, but you walk through one office to get to the other, so there's like a dividing door between the middle of them. Now, all these people work for the same company. They all worked in the same department. They all worked for me at the time. But very quickly, because some people sat on one side of the door and one people sat on the other side of the door, there was a real clear divide. And it was all right to be negative against the people from the other side of the door. And suddenly group behaviours started getting attached to them by the other side. And it's through nothing. And if you knock down that wall, chances are suddenly all that conversation would disappear. But because they've been split very visually into two groups, again, that barrier started to appear. You see, it's the same with football. If you support a football team, it's perfectly all right to hate someone who supports a different football team. But if that person supported your team, you'd be the best of mates. The only thing that divides you is you wear a different badge on your chest. And I just think and again, I'm not going to give some great lesson that solves all of this, but back to the same as with that quote, we just have this, I don't know, like it probably is a survival instinct that goes way, way back to our kind of caveman days, but we just have this innate ability to attach ourselves to a group and then fiercely, and I would say defend, because it's normally defend that starts these things rather than just being aggressive. But the fact is that when you're being defensive, someone blinks first and becomes the aggressor, and it kind of starts a chain of events.
Yeah. I just ask because the learning, because you've given it quite a lot of quotes, or not quite, sorry, circumstances where people almost like turn on each other and almost like dehumanise each other.
That's it. That's a very good word for it.
Yeah, because that's I think what we can do. And in fact, you're saying about the different teams. I had a manager once who supported a different team that I liked, and we actually got a friend of ours who likes a different team. All right, but we look past that, don't we? We look past that. In fact, when our managers, managers that I had actually supported Arsenal, right? But there's, when we're in the office, it's absolutely fine. But actually, I've never really held that tribalism myself. I suppose because I don't know why. But I don't really get driven by that. But I get it, and I see it. You see it. It's definitely undoubtable. I think what you said is absolutely right. When you see football games and stuff like that, you definitely see it, and it's like okay to sort of not like the other side. But going back to what you said, there's a film called Arrival. I don't know if you've seen that.
I don't think so. I'm going to do a quiet little Google off the side of the screen here.
Yeah, and actually, maybe you can check it for me, because it's been a bit of a while since I've seen it. But what it is about these aliens that arrive on Earth, and humans instinctively think that they are evil. So, or up to bad things. So the first thing we do is we end up trying to, if I remember rightly, try and destroy them. Right? That's the intention, is not to destroy. So, what you said earlier about fear drives this, thing to sort of, fight, I suppose, and instigate tribalism, is something we have to think about, isn't it? I think this is something we really have to think about and be careful about. I even think sometimes, when we think about the world and all the wars that are going on right now, I think if an alien species suddenly appeared on the outskirts of space, I think you'd find that humans would band together against the other race, right? If it was that they were going to attack, and you'd find that all the sort of
all our differences would disappear in a
would
heartbeat.
disappear because Earth would be under attack, and that means everybody's under threat. And I don't see why we can't see that now, right? Because going back to our age thing of AI, right? There's this great guy, I can't remember his name, but he was at Google, and he goes around talking about AI, and he talks about that AI is like the alien, like literally, it's on its way, and what we're going to do, because obviously people are training AI and stuff like that, but ultimately this AI in the long term is literally going to be smarter, quicker than us. In the end, that's what they're saying. So what we're going to do with that, because literally they explain that AI is going to be so fast. This is a prediction. It's going to be so quick and so fast, so intelligent that we're going to be like trees. And it's like the humans are being trees. Oh, we're all right. We'll be okay. We're solid. We're trees, right? We've got no worries. But hang on. And when humans come along, we're humans. We come along. We come with chainsaws, chop down the trees. That was the analogy, right? So I think when we're thinking of AI, this is why they say treat AI kindly, because it's actually learning from what we are saying. And so going back to this tribalism, if AI goes on the internet and starts, looking at the things like we attack things and we become tribalism, well, what's to stop AI doing that? And I think we've got to learn lessons from that quickly, because what we don't want is AI doing that. So going back to this whole thing, I think we can learn right now. Why can't we use this podcast episode to sort of encourage people to stop this tribalism and to really start to break down some barriers? And, if you recognize that, like Lee said, there's that wall in the office, and then people are starting to think, oh, it's okay to, not dehumanize, but like not be so nice. Or maybe some sort of dehumanizing goes on. Maybe let's think about that. Let's reflect on that. And let's not do that. And actually, let's reach out. In fact, in my place of work at the minute, we're running a load of coaching that's going on at the minute, and I've developed a community. So to break down the silos, there's not really that many silos, but to break out that almost like that virtual wall where people work in their own departments, right? So it's not necessarily a physical wall, but it's like just a department, right? You're a department, so there's other departments. So I basically get people into this community that talk to each other, and it doesn't matter what department you're in, you can still contribute to the community, and you're part of one team, and we're just together. And I think that's really important. So we don't do that tribalism thing, because it can happen in all sorts of ways, can't it? Like you said. So I think this is a really, really important point. What you're saying is that we've got to be really wary of, our assumptions of other people. Like you said in the Traitors, going back to your very, very, very first point, Lee, about the assumption of the Traitors, right? In the game, they assumed that they were not very good, nice people.
Yes.
But when they come out, it's all good because they're in the moment. I haven't seen it myself, and I am going to watch it.
It's definitely worth watching.
You are literally, I say, third person that said this to me, so I've got to watch it. But I think you've made a really good point. When fear is triggered, we tend to, there tends to be that dehumanizing, whatever we want to call it, thing that because the fear drives those behaviors, we tend to group and then become tribal, which I think is a thing, and we've got to be careful of that, because actually we're all part of the same race, right? And we're all trying to, we should be all trying to make the world a better place. Like, as I say, in the previous episode when we talked about Apollo and Carl Weathers, the character of Apollo, he talked about making a difference. Well, we can make a difference every day. If we see this going on, we can make a difference to bridge the gap, and that's what I'd say on this. And so I think every day, through our smallest of actions, we can do that every day with each other. Why not?
Yes, and I think that's the takeaway, Joe. Not saying I'm doing my takeaways now, but the takeaway is that. And there's bits of this I try and do this because it's an instinct I'm very aware of. And if I feel like someone's attacking me or doing something different or doing something that conflicts with my interest, if that's the right word. I am trying to challenge myself, not saying I always do well with it, but to think, right, what's their perspective? What do they think I'm doing that they're defending back against, and seeing if I can try and use that to then tailor how I respond and do things, and hopefully remove any of that thought to want to be defensive. Because I think that's the goal. If you can remove that fear, then people's intentions become a lot more honest and genuine. And not saying they're dishonest and disingenuous, but they're coming from a place of defence rather than a place of openness. And I think the more you can get rid of that fear, the better it is. So again, that's something I think I'm really going to push myself on this year, to try and think about that more.
Well, I just wanted to sort of reference something. Where the hell did I put it?
Whoa, so, look at these words from Jose.
So this book here.
Love it. One of my favourites, The Chimp Paradox by Professor Steve Peters.
Yeah, so it talks about the amygdala, doesn't it? And that's what's triggered. You know, when you get that fear response, it's that fight or flight, right?
Yeah.
And that's what we've got to avoid. So my tactic for doing this, and I've still practiced myself like you, I still find this hard. When someone challenges, the best thing is to lean into that and to say, you know, talk about that. Like, you know, if they say, well, I don't agree with that, or whatever, or what are you talking about? You know, instead of responding in kind, why don't we say, well, talk to you about that. What do you mean? And then we can try and see it from the other person's perspective. It doesn't mean we're going to necessarily agree,
but you get a bit more.
What we're trying just to understand where they're coming from on it, because actually they might have a point and they might not have a point. But let's be open to not counter with the same energy, and actually be curious about why they hold that different point of view, to get to, because there might be something going on that we don't know about, which is triggering that, and it's something to explore, right? It does take patience though, and it takes that awareness in the moment, which is difficult, because if we're getting triggered through the amygdala, like we've got that fight or flight response, it's quite challenging to do that in the moment, especially when you get something done or there's pressure on it. You know, it's hard. But if we can remember that, I think that's a really powerful point. So just ask the person, I'll talk, what's made that happen? You know, ask them, you know, in their whatever word it is, however it shows up. I know you don't agree with that. We'll talk to you about what's the reason for that, rather than us responding in an emotional way, and then we're just triggering each other's amygdalas and fighting, or one of us says, well, I'm leaving now, right? You know, we're moving away, right? Can we hold the space and actually we'll still be emotional. We're just trying to, what's the word where you're trying to manage your emotions? I can't remember the word of it, but you're trying to, I can't remember the word of it, but you're trying to sort of acknowledge the emotion, but you're not being triggered by it. Yeah. You're trying to manage it. I can't remember the word is. It'll come to me probably later, but I think that's important, because if we can do that individually in everyday meetings through human contact, we can spread that, and that can happen then for, you know, individuals, for families, for, you know, countries, and then, you know, the world, right? If we can just do those small things, you know, as you said, the butterfly effect. We can do those small things every day and just make those things, like for instance, this podcast, talking about it and bringing it out into the open. Can, you know, anyone on this podcast, listening to this podcast, can you do that? Can you try that, rather than, you know, fighting or running away? Can we hold the room, and can we hold the conversation to try and to understand? And going back to this book here as well, Stephen Covey's book, which you were talking about, Lee, actually inadvertently. I don't know if you meant to, but first seek to understand before being understood. Like, to ask some questions, find out what's driving it. You know, is it fear? Can you allay the fear? Whatever it is, because the fear thing is the thing that drives a lot of us. You know, it drives a lot of interesting behaviours, right? Sometimes they're quite destructive. So let's see if we can catch them early and try and work together. But no, I like this, Lee. I think this has been really, really good. Really good. That's my...
The signal's a bit glitchy tonight. You cut out for a second there. Hopefully it all sounds good on the podcast, and you're thinking, what the hell's Lee talking about? And if not, I've just qualified a few little glitches there, but you kind of you sounded a bit Max Headroom for a second there.
Oh, did I? Oh, because you glitched a little bit. I don't know whether it's your mind or my end. I don't know, but we'll find out. Yes. We'll find out. Can I give some shout outs, actually?
You absolutely can, and then I'll do some shilling and we'll do some takeaways.
Do you know something? I don't know, but I don't know. Can you look at the? Have you got the old ticker tucker on?
I do. What am I looking for?
I don't know, but I've got. I don't know what I can say. I've got 772 77772. I haven't got. I don't know. Is anything to do with the 777? 777 772. 777 772. 777 772. 777 772. 777 772. 777 772. 777 772. 777 772. 777 772. 777 772. 777 772. 777 772. 777 772. 777 772. 777 772. 777 772. 777 772. 777 772. 777 772. 777 772. 777 772. 777 772. 777 772. 777 772. 777 772. 777 772. 777 772. 777 772. 777 772. 777 772. 777 772. 777 772. 777 772. 777 772. 777 772. 777 772. 777 772. 777 772. 777 772. 777 772. 777 772. 777 772. 777 772. 777 772. 777 772. 777 772. 777 772. 777 772. 777 772. 777 772. 777 do with you. It's a bit of a rhyme, but this is a mine. Invite as guest. I don't know if you know the one I'm talking about on the TikTok, but anyway. But I just want to say some shout outs. Hey Charlie, welcome. Welcome to the podcast. And someone liked this as well. John, thank you for liking the live, by the way. That's fantastic. Really appreciate you for liking. Please feel free to ask a question if you want to ask a question. We will absolutely look at that for you. But yeah, just want to give some shout outs. So it's brilliant. We've had some good liking going on this. So don't forget to continue to like that like button on TikTok. We need to get this out there for more and more people. Brilliant. Yeah, anyway, there you go. Right. TikTok's going on.
I had to close my screen, so maybe we'll talk about that one when we've hit the stop button, Jose, that you saw on the screen, because I couldn't see it.
Absolutely. Now you're liking it, Lee.
I'm just getting the likes up, but I'm a fraction of the likes today. We appreciate everyone on there. And in fact, just search Jose Noya Inspiration Nation, follow him on both TikTok and YouTube, and you will get notified when we are going live each and every week. And you can get involved with the show, throw some likes, ask some questions, whatever it is that you want to do. Follow the show as well on X at listen to listen TOIN, and head over to inspirationnation.org.uk, which is our site. Full archive there, nearly 5 years worth of content going on, audio and video. Sign up for a newsletter, get some merch, t-shirts. Joe is modelling one in the background if you are watching on YouTube or TikTok right now. Oh, and he's wearing his hoodie as well. Loads of that good stuff all over there at inspirationnation.org. You could work on, like, was it QVC? Is that what the old shopping channel is?
Is that right?
You could work on QVC.
I'm just trying to
you'd be brilliant for it.
Trying to do both.
And for everyone who's stuck this long, you must like what we're doing. Just wherever you are listening, hit 5 stars, leave a review. Most importantly, tell friends and family, get other people listening. We really appreciate you supporting what we do here at Inspiration Nation. Right, Jose, what is your takeaway for this week?
So I think I'm going to shout out to Charlie. Charlie's been liking the live, so thank you, Charlie.
Thank you, Charlie. Appreciate it.
Feel free to ask. That's Charlie Russell 715 to be very precise there. What's my big takeaway? My big takeaway, it's for myself as much as everybody else, is not to react in the moment and to ask some powerful questions to decharge that amygdala. Right, that's going to be my go-to to try and manage those emotions and not respond in a fearful way to things that I might feel challenged on. That's mine.
And mine is very similar, but I won't sound as smart as you when I say it. And it's something you said that resonated with me from Stephen Covey's book, which is don't answer with the same energy. That's the thing I want to stick in my head, is when I'm challenged, is don't give that back. That is my takeaway.
Love that. Very, very good.
And don't worry about what badge you're wearing. It's all circumstantial.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, let's not go with the badges, right? That's nice. Yeah, I totally agree with you. In fact, I was doing that today actually, and people were saying your position's irrelevant. It's your behaviours that makes it. So
100%.
I love that. That for me is so important to get across, because someone gets so wrapped up in the titles that the titles don't get wrapped up in the titles, because it's not about the titles. It's about the behaviour. And Lee, you just coined it beautifully there about how we can start to encourage our own behaviours to change the way this all works, and eventually the world. Let's make this world a better place to live in, which would be fantastic, right? Let's not dehumanise, and let's really humanise the conversation, which I would say.
Absolutely. And on that inspirational note, we will be back again next week, but I will count us down for now. 3, 2, 1. Inspiration Nation.
Inspiration Nation.
Catch you guys later.